Why your brain forgives toxic people. The science of emotional survival loops. It is 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. You are standing in your kitchen alone, staring at a half-empty carton of milk. Your phone is face down on the counter. On the screen, there is a text message you haven't answered. You shouldn't answer it. You know this. Your best friend knows this. Even your cat, who usually only cares about kibble, seems to judge you when you pick up the phone. And yet, there is a specific kind of exhaustion that isn't physical. It's the exhaustion of a brain that has been asked one too many times to rewrite its own survival code. Let's talk about why you wrote that text back. Let's talk about the post-it note your amygdala wrote, stuck to your frontal lobe, and forgot to throw away. 1. The caveman and the bruised fruit. The ancient software. We can't update. Imagine a caveman. Let's call him Grog. Grog lives in a tribe of 15 people. If Grog gets kicked out of the tribe, Grog dies. Not metaphorically. He doesn't move to a different city and start a podcast. The saber-toothed tigers literally eat his face. Now, Grog has a problem. There is another caveman in the tribe, named Kevin. Kevin is an asshole. Kevin steals Grog's marrow. Kevin mocks Grog's rock sculpting skills. Kevin subtly implies that Grog is bad at starting fires. But, and this is crucial, Kevin is in the tribe, and the tribe is survival. So Grog's brain, which is not stupid, does something incredibly intelligent. It builds a psychological harness. It generates a chemical called dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter. Not when Grog fights Kevin, but when Grog convinces himself that Kevin isn't that bad. Kevin didn't mean it. Kevin was tired. Kevin gave me some of his mammoth meat last week. Grog's brain rewards forgiveness because the alternative, ostracization, is death. Evolution didn't design you to be happy. It designed you to survive long enough to reproduce. It doesn't care if you are miserable, as long as you are alive and part of the tribe. Your brain will choose the familiar devil over the unknown void every single time. 2. The slot machine of intermittent reinforcement. Why sometimes is more addictive than always. We skip forward 200,000 years. Grog is dead. Kevin is dead. But Kevin's ghost lives in your office, in your marriage, in your group chat. Meet Sarah. Sarah is a graphic designer. Her mother, Diane, is a master of the hot and cold protocol. Diane calls Sarah at work. Diane says, "I saw your sister's promotion post. You're still at that little agency? It's fine. Some people don't have the drive." Sarah hangs up. She feels hollow. She swears she won't call her mother for a month. 3 days later, Diane calls. She sounds cheerful. "I made your grandmother's casserole recipe. Remember when you used to help me stir it? You were so cute. You always got flour on your nose. Ding, ding, ding." Sarah's brain releases dopamine, not because the casserole story is that great, but because the threat is gone. The relief is palpable. This is the terror management loop. Science response. If Diane was mean 100% of the time, Sarah's brain would adapt. It would categorize Diane as pain and, well, just stop seeking reward. But Diane isn't 100% mean. She's 70% mean, 30% nostalgic. That 30% is the hook. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's actually the same mechanism that makes slot machines addictive. If you won every time, you'd get bored. If you never won, you'd just walk away. But if you win sometimes, unpredictably, you will sit in that chair until your bladder bursts and your retirement fund evaporates. You don't stay with a toxic person because the good times are good. You stay because the bad times make the mediocre times feel like euphoria. You are a lab rat pressing a lever that occasionally drops a pellet of validation, convinced that if you just press it one more time, the shock will stop. 3. The cognitive dissonance tango, or how to justify eating poison because you paid for it. Let's get specific. Let's talk about James. James bought a classic car, a 1978 Triumph Spitfire. It's red. It looks gorgeous in the driveway. The problem is it breaks down every 40 miles. It leaks oil on the concrete. The heater doesn't work. James has spent $12,000 on repairs. One day a mechanic tells James, You need a new engine block. It's going to be $8,000. Honestly, man, the car is only worth $4,000. James does not walk away. Instead, James orders the engine block. Why? Because if James admits the car is a lemon, he also has to admit that the last $12,000 was a waste. He has to admit he was stupid. And honestly, the human brain would rather die than admit it was stupid. We call this the sunk cost fallacy. Now, apply this to your ex, or your boss, or your parent. You spent 5 years trying to make them happy. You cancelled plans with friends. You rearranged your personality. You stopped wearing yellow because they said it washes me out. If you admit now that they are toxic and incapable of change, you don't just lose them. You lose the last 5 years. The brain's logic. I cannot change the past, but if I keep trying, I can retroactively justify the past. If I eventually win their love, the suffering becomes tuition. If I leave now, the suffering was just suffering. You are trying to retroactively turn your trauma into a tuition fee, but you're attending a university that refuses to grant degrees, and the professor keeps failing you for showing up. At some point, you have to admit you're not a student. You're a tuition donation. 4. The ghost surgery of the amygdala. How your brain physically erases the bad stuff. This is the cruelest part. This is the part where your own biology becomes an accomplice. When you experience acute stress, a screaming fight, a public humiliation, a silent treatment that lasts 3 weeks, your brain releases cortisol. Cortisol helps you react. It sharpens memory. But humans cannot survive at 100% cortisol saturation. It's like running a car engine at redline constantly. Eventually, the pistons melt. So, to protect you, the brain does something called the fade. Time passes, the fight fades, the cortisol drops, and your hippocampus, the librarian of your brain, starts to archive the memory. But it doesn't archive the feeling. It archives the facts. 6 months later, you remember the fight, but you don't remember the terror. You remember the words, but you don't remember the pit in your stomach. What remains? The memory of the apology, the make-up sex, the breakfast they made you the next morning. This is the survival loop. Your brain erases the pain to prevent you from having a nervous breakdown. But in erasing the pain, it also erases the evidence. It throws out the prosecutor's files. Let's see this example. Think of a time a friend betrayed you. You swore you'd never speak to them again. Now, 2 years later, you see them at a bar. You don't feel rage. You feel curiosity, nostalgia. Maybe it wasn't that bad. It was that bad. Your brain just performed emergency surgery on your memory to stop the bleeding. Your brain is a real estate agent that only shows you the professionally staged photos of the house, hiding the mold in the basement and the cracked foundation. It's not trying to sell you the house. It's trying to keep you from being homeless. 5. The empathy trap. Why being a so-called good person can actually make you a target. There is a peculiar cruelty in this loop that we haven't addressed yet. It's the reason therapists look at you with that specific tilt of the head, half compassion, half exasperation, when you say, "But I understand why they did it." Let's talk about Lena. Lena is a nurse. Lena is the friend who remembers your birthday when you forget it yourself. Lena has a partner, Marcus, who drinks too much and, says too little. When Marcus disappears for 3 days and comes back reeking of cheap whiskey and expensive regret, Marcus doesn't apologize. Instead, Marcus tells Lena about his father. "My old man used to hold my head under the bathwater when I was 6, just to watch me struggle." And Lena, God help her, Lena feels it. She doesn't just hear it, she absorbs it. She sees the 6-year-old boy under the water. She sees the man drowning in front of her 30 years later, still gasping for air. She forgives him. Not because she's weak, not because she's codependent, but because her empathy is so overdeveloped that it has become a liability. She mistakes understanding his pain for accepting his behavior. The science response. Empathy is not one thing, it's 2. There is cognitive empathy, the ability to recognize and label someone else's emotional state. You are sad because your dog died. And there is compassionate empathy, the drive to alleviate suffering. But there is a shadow version. Let's call it absorptive empathy, This is when your brain fails to maintain the membrane between self and other. You don't just recognize their pain, you inhabit it. You carry it. Toxic people, consciously or not, exploit this. They present their trauma as a justification, not an explanation, but a get-out-of-jail-free card. I am this way because of what was done to me. If you punish me for it, you are joining the people who hurt me. And you, the empath, hear this and think, I must prove I am not them. So you stay, not despite your goodness, but because of it. You have turned your own compassion into a hostage negotiation. You are trying to prove you are not the abuser by volunteering to be the victim. The irony is, the person you're trying to convince never doubted your goodness. They're counting on it.
Save this video and return to it whenever you need a reminder of your own power. Follow and subscribe for more content like this as we continue to explore the tools and mindsets for building an unbreakable character and a life of your own design. Stay sharp, keep focus. You deserve the best.